Think that's a couple of minutes for people to join. So let's get started. Thank you to everyone who did say hello in the chat, and it's great to see people joining from so many different places. Like I mentioned, I'm based out of Adelaide, so I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Kaurna people as the traditional custodians of the Adelaide region and the Adelaide Plains, and I recognise any other traditional owners who may be dialing in from anywhere today as well. It's really great to see a whole lot of people dialing in today. And these sessions, this is our 13th session, which is a lucky number, and hopefully it's the best one yet. Today, we're going to be talking about Include a Charity Week or IAC Week. Some of you might be really familiar with IAC and take part every year, and some of you might not even know what I'm talking about yet, and that's the point of today. Whatever camp you're in, it's completely fine. I suspect a lot of people actually sit probably somewhere in the middle and wherever you sit, whatever your experience is with IAC in the past, I promise you're going to get a lot of value out of today's session. There's really something for everyone. So let's have a quick look at what we're going to be going over. All right, so today we're going to start with the basics and we'll look at what Include a Charity Week actually is. And we're also going to be joined by Helen Beeby, who you can see here, Include a Charity Campaign Director. So she can explain things from IAC's perspective as well. And then we'll look at the effect of Include a Charity Week has on legacy giving and go through some different strategies for creating your own IAC campaigns, including ones that can work if you have a tight budget or a quite time poor as well. And finally, we'll look at some of the strategies that have worked for real life non-for-profits in the years past and explore some of the results that we've seen before we finish with Q&A as well. In the meantime, there is Q&A available using the Zoom function here, so feel free to pop in your questions there, as we've got someone answering live as well, and she'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Helen will also be here for Q&A at the end, so any questions you might have for myself or on behalf of Gathered here, or directly for Helen and Include a Charity, we'll be answering them, obviously if time permits, which I think it will. But before we get started, I might introduce myself. I'm Mike Tagliaferri. I'm the head of partner success at Gathered here. The partner success team, we're really focused on making sure our charity partners that we work with, they're getting the best and most value that they can from their Gathered here membership. We work closely with our charity partners to identify growth strategies that are suitable for their specific organisation and their specific situation as well. And we support a range of partners, large and small, on multiple tiers as well. Whether you're on our paid premium tier or on our basic free tier, you're really going to be working with myself and our partner success team to really grow your bequest campaigns really efficiently. We understand online wills and the technology enabling them are still relatively new, and the way they're being used can be different depending on your specific needs, right? So we're there to help you figure out what's best for you, because as we'll talk about today, not necessarily one size fits every situation when it comes to online wills. All right, that's enough about me. We'll talk a little bit about Gathered here as well. So over 95,000 wills have been written on our platform since we launched, and every single one of them has been completely free. Will writers are really happy with our service as well. On average, we have a 4.9 star out of 5 rating, and of those, 4,500 reviews have also been a 5-star review as well. On top of offering free online wills to people in Australia and New Zealand, we also partner with a whole bunch of charities to help them receive more gifts in those online wills. And we provide data to those charities about the people pledging gifts and the gifts themselves. Charities can, as I mentioned, join on our free basic tier, and they can also join us on a paid premium subscription as well. So there really is something for every partner that we work with. And currently, we have over 850 non-for-profits working with us across every state, size, and cause area. So, again, as you can imagine, we truly do mean that we have organizations that are global household names, but we also have extremely micro or smaller charities that are solely run by volunteers or might literally have only one single volunteer operating within them. And lastly, a big one to end on with our stats is that overall, about just over $1 billion has been pledged to hundreds of worthy causes through our platform. And that's solely gifts pledged through Gathered Here's online wills services. So hopefully I've piqued your interest in enough and we can get into the matter at hand, which is what is Include a Charity Week. Include a Charity is a social change campaign started by the Fundraising Institute of Australia, which is all about educating the general public about bequests and encouraging more people to pledge a gift in their will. Every year, the campaign ramps up its efforts for 1 week in September, and that's what we call Include a Charity Week. That's when you might start to see a whole lot more media coverage around legacy giving. There are a few examples here that we're displaying, but obviously we saw a lot of TV coverage and radio coverage as well last year, which is all about spreading that message of legacy giving. We also see a lot of charities getting involved and spreading that message to their own supporter bases as well. For any New Zealand charities or people that might be joining us today, you might be more familiar with Wills Week, which happens in July, and it has the same premise. So a lot of the learnings or advice that we're going to be going through on today's webinar will still be relevant to our New Zealand partners as well. And I'll definitely encourage you to stick around for the webinar. And here again, what you can see is widespread Include a Charity Week and how widespread it is by just simply Googling Include a Charity Week. You'll see a result after result from different organizations promoting this to their supporters, which is combined would easily represent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that this is reaching. So I think now would be a really good time to hand over to Helen from IAC, who can add a little bit more context on IAC and its mission.
Thank you, Michael. Actually, it's great to see all these statistics again sometimes, but it really brings it home to me that how important the work we're doing and how the impact across the nation. And first, I'd like to say thank you to Gathered Here. Obviously, you've been strong supporters of the campaign and myself for the last few years and working together. And for having me here today. So just a little bit about the campaign and a sort of perhaps a macro view is we are a campaign of Fundraising Institute Australia, and we've been operating now for 14 years in Australia. These campaigns to sort of grow gifts in wills on consortiums, as we call them, are around the world now, mostly in Europe, but we do actually have there are others in Canada and Japan. And we've seen growth in every country that actually runs a campaign of this kind. So on the right there on the slide, you'll see we kind of break down into two core areas. The first is the social and behavioural change, where we basically encourage and promote leaving a gifting will to the Australian public. This is actually how we differ from the FIA. We have a big public-facing campaign as well. And we do this through a huge PR, round the year PR campaign, and obviously things like social media and other traditional media methods as well. And then on the other side, we actually support the sector through leadership and community building. We basically have members and we help them grow their own bequest programs through high-level training, events such as the Include a Charity Conference. And of course, what we're here today for is Include a Charity Week, which is always the first full week of September. And I also offer one-to-one sessions with members because I obviously have a background in bequest giving and fundraising myself. And then, of course, we also influence the government and the legal fraternity to sort of smooth those pathways for charities and to actually deliver the best gifting will programme we can with government support. So moving on to the next slide, you'll see here that we have a sort of spokes on a wheel, as I call them. I'm just going to pick out a few of those areas. The first one, of course, is the marketing, and it is year round. Want to make that clear. It's not just include a charity week, even though that is our big push, but do operate all year round. And last year alone, we reached 30 million people. Well, the touch points were in the magnitude of 30 million. And that's just from our own metrics. I'm sure, as Michael alluded to, obviously the people who do their own campaigns and include a charity will see even more significant numbers. And then we have partnerships. Gathered Here is obviously one of them. We work with Philanthropy Australia, Bequest Assist, JB Weir, and different solicitor practices and such like. And as Michael also mentioned, Finns now have folded into the FIA, and we'll be working obviously now across New Zealand as well. And then there's the members. We want to see it grow. Of course, a rising tide raises all ships. And when I started, it was 75 members, and it's not the whole organisation is a member. And we're now at 140, so we're nearly double from those 3 years ago. And then we have training days and webinars. We do those all through the year, and we have top level experts and really high level training and development of your programs. And then there's research. This is where we do excel because we can do it on behalf of the whole sector. Doing it yourself would be very difficult. So we do it sort of on a huge scale for everybody. And we usually do about 3 a year. And it's for the sector and Gifts in Will's impact, but also things like estate management and probate reform to help everybody. And of course, as you can see on the left here, we have two big pushes this year is the government policy and advocacy work, and of course, the Legacy Legends campaign, which launched yesterday on the digital platform. So keep your eye out for that and do support and share that as well. So moving on to the next slide, you can see the stats there on the right. I won't go through them all. You can probably see them all, but it is quite dramatic, isn't it? Just how the impact of Gifts in Wills and bequests programs across Australia. And it is growing. As you'll see, it's going to double at least by 2040. And it's actually doubled in the last 10 years with a study from 35 specific charities. So it's great to see that, and it's the power of consistency, I always call it there, that's really showed that value. And so it's important you to tell your leaders, investment and consistent investment, and it will see the growth. And the ROI, one of my favorite statistics, for every dollar invested, $24.50 comes back. It may only be a handful of gifts every year, but because of the size, on average, it returns a huge amount. And so, yeah, more than any other fundraising product, which I think is fantastic. And then on the left there, you can see that we do an annual, every 3 years we do a campaign effectiveness survey, and we've actually got one going live later this year. But from 2016 to 22, we've seen it grow from 8% of people leaving a gift to 12%. And I know you might argue people might change their minds later. Of course, we do acknowledge that, but we're actually tackling some of those reasons why people do that. So to make that prevent that happening in future. But it is a long game. We all know that. So then just the last couple of slides, this next one, and again, shameless plug, humble brag. I do like to, it's nice to see. We do a member survey every year as well to inform every year strategy, to listen to feedback and review what we're doing. But the value for money is lovely to see, from just 30% of saying yes in 2022, nearly doubled in 23, and then again, a 7% growth in that last year as well. And then just to wrap up on the last slide is obviously include a charity week this year. Obviously, Michael's going to elaborate on some of the Gathered Here activities, but I just quick snapshot. This is the theme for this year: the plant a seed today, change the world tomorrow. And one of the things we sort of discovered that people want, to feel good about leaving a gift now. This future generations and all those kind of language we've found isn't quite as resonant as people thought. It was really about, I want to feel good about doing this now. And so focusing on that and the call to action to make it happen. And so obviously we've got a whole raft of anime. We have an animation every year, which won an award last year. You'd be glad to know, the stop motion. And this year we've got another animated one, and then digitals, member assets to share, etc. And then, of course, the PR. You can see on the bottom there, Barry Dubois will be one of our ambassadors this year, along with a few others. He's famous face from the living room and such, but he's actually been battling blood cancer. So, he's a really great voice to speak to the importance of this. And then on the right there, we have a road show every year as well, that runs from throughout the week. And this year we'll be going to Perth, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Sydney with Leisure Pena, who's Canadian, flying in, and Nick Jaffa, who lives in Sydney but is actually Canadian. It was just ended up being a Canadian dream team this year. And so, yeah, do make sure you get tickets for the road show. Everything is free throughout the year for include charity members. So if you're interested in joining and getting all these things for free, look at the website, includecharity.com.au, but there are some tickets for certain events as well. So that's a bit of a kind of roundup, very quick one. And so please pop any questions in the chat. And thank you for having me, Michael and Nicola, in the background. Over back to you.
You're welcome, Helen. Thank you so much for obviously being here and for the run through. I know you touched a little bit there on the second to last slide, in particular around the impact that Include a Charity is having, and it's the value for money that people are getting from an IAC campaign. It's great to see that growing year on year, and hopefully 2025 is the best one yet. I wanted to expand on some of those points, right? And I think you mentioned because what we're able to see is that a lot of the conversation starts with the data that we generate. As everyone already knows, it's quite tricky to track impact with traditional wills, so it's much easier to gather information and data in around online wills, and we can track what is, I guess, painting a really good picture on the impact wills and in particular Include a Charity Week is having. This graph in particular, what we can see here is exactly that to support it. It's telling us that the overall increase of traffic to gathered here wills really does skyrocket in September. In other words, it's telling us that the overall interest in will writing does really increase in that month. And it's pretty obvious that we see that increase. It's 121% higher than the monthly average. And we know that Include a Charity Week is clearly exposing more people to the idea of will writing and pledging a gift, which is a really important first step. Before we go on, I want to explain that what we're looking at here is the entire month of September, rather than just specifically focus on IAC week or the week of IAC. It's because many partners run multi-part email campaigns or other campaigns for IAC, which are actually spread over quite a few weeks. So we want to give a really fair representation of the overall impact that IAC is having, and that's why we obviously look at the month of September as a whole. So we know that traffic is obviously on the up, but what about actually writing a will and creating an account to do so? So we also see spikes in September. So with the accounts created, this means that a person has entered all of their information and they've started the will writing process. They might have even finished their will, but they haven't downloaded it. And that's really important because we don't count a will as completed until it's downloaded, but we do see a lot of people coming back to wills and completing them at a later stage. Overall, as a result of IAC, we see a 36% increase in accounts created and a 25% increase in overall wills completed compared to the monthly average on the Gathered Here platform. So we can clearly see here that Include a Charity Week is having a really positive impact on will writing, but what is it having in terms of gifts? And as you'd expect, those extra wills do translate to more gifts as well, that are pledged. So over 1,100 gifts were pledged in September 2024, which was an increase of 51% in gift volume compared to the monthly average. So remember, will writing increased only by 25%, still a good increase, but only 25%. But we know that IAC is not only getting more people to write wills, but it's clearly having a very, very positive impact on getting a higher percentage of those wills to include a gift and have a pledged gift. And in fact, what we see is the average monthly gifter rate is that the percentage of wills with at least one gift that went from 15% to 21% in September. So a growth rate of 40% for the month of September in the gift rate. Again, a will with at least one gift. And this demonstrates, obviously, what an incredible impact IAC has. It literally changes the giving behavior, and the public becomes much, much more likely to pledge a gift in their will. Gifts are great. We can look at things from an overall value as well. So what we see with gift value is also another spike in September, as you'd expect. So last September, an estimated $48.3 million was pledged to charities and non-for-profits via Gathered Here, compared to the month that was in September, compared to the monthly average of 32.8 million. So an increase in September of 47% of total gifts value pledged compared to the monthly average, or an increase equivalent of $15.5 million. So it's another really, really impressive area of growth, and it's all off the back of and thanks to IAC. And finally, we also see a really important one here as well. We also see higher than average rates of bequesters who are opting in to sharing their information with charities during September. So 52%, which is higher than any other month that we see throughout the year. So this is really, really important because it means that you're best positioned to have the ability to integrate those confirmed bequesters and supporters of your organization into your existing communications, into your stewardship journeys, and you can grow and nurture that relationship, obviously, well into the future. I think that's enough graphs and charts that I've skipped through. Hopefully you can see, obviously, the really positive impact that Include a Charity Week is having. But next is the logical question of how do you get involved? So obviously Helen gave a great pitch there. So hopefully now you're a member of IAC if you haven't already been. You had a few minutes to make that happen, but it's time to create your own campaign. And there are three ways that you can do that. One, you can focus on campaign-led fundraising. Another is passive fundraising, or you can obviously do a combination of both. Let's have a look at campaign-led fundraising first. So campaign-led fundraising focuses on converting existing supporters into bequesters. Essentially, you're sending as many people as possible to your own co-branded landing page or online wills page and encouraging people to write a will and pledge a gift. I'll just show you what that looks like for anyone who's unsure if you're not yet a partner of ours or not familiar with it, and it looks like this. So this is WWF's custom landing page and online wills platform page. So every Gathered Here partner gets one of these, regardless of if you're on our free tier or if you're on our premium tier. This is where you'll direct your supporters to, and it's how they can start their journey in writing a will. When they go to the wills platform, it's that section in the top right-hand corner there. That's what makes it really, really easy for people to pledge a gift to your organization if that's what they want to do. So campaign-led fundraising for online wills is all about getting your supporters to this point, encouraging them to pledge a gift. But importantly is how do you get them there? Well, there are a few different strategies that we can do for that. The most effective is typically a multi-part email series sent to the largest number of supporters possible. You can also include an article in your regular newsletter that you might have. You can post on social media. You can add information to your website and your donors pages. Custom email signatures we see a lot of in through the month of September. And there's also the hard copy side of things with mail outs and flyers and bookmarks as well. So there are a number of different effective ways that you can do this. Many options. These are just a few of the most common ones that we see partners doing, and we support them in doing them that as well. So what I'll take you through is a couple of examples of these. So here we have website information. So you can see here that you can have a pop-up like Fred Hollows have done here, which is you could have a pop-up on your website that starts that will writing process or naturally promotes that you have a digital bequest platform that you can use. You can also have a page dedicated to IAC Week, like we see in the middle there with the salvos, or you can have a blog post as well. So the one on the right is what we see with red dust role models, where we see lots of different ways that and different interpretations that people can obviously encourage that will writing process. And it's the same with social media as well. So we see a mix of paid and organic posting. So again, it's completely up to you what channel you want to use with that. Historically, social media hasn't been a game changer in terms of gifts in online wills, but we do recommend posting about it, particularly with include a charity week, because when it's obviously unpaid, it's a completely free way of posting and an affordable way to really keep reinforcing that message to your supporter base of the importance of having a will and that you have a bequest platform there to use. With legacy giving, as we know, education is a really big part of this. And so a series of social media posts might only result in a single gift, but at least it's spreading at scale that message and normalizing the legacy giving, which is really important as well. Here are a couple of examples of email signatures and postcards and bookmarks that our partners have used in the past. So some of you might know this. We offer custom designed files for free to our premium partners. So if you are on our paid or premium tier working with us at the moment and you're thinking about joining, this is an extra perk that we offer. Again, custom branded materials for you to use. And in terms of writing, support for writing out your email series as well, or even some of your social posts, we're about to launch our latest Include a Charity guide, and we'll be hosting a webinar next month with a bunch of extra tips around that as well. So we'll have a campaign kit that really is an enabler to help you get started with a whole bunch of ideas and suggestions. Uh, if you're really keen to register for that webinar, you can scan the QR code here on the right, and we'll be sending out further invites as well. So again, another webinar in about a month's time, really focusing on tips on landing page configurations that you might have, audience segmentation through to effective copy and messaging, the cadence of your communications, again with multi-part email series, and of course, perhaps most importantly, is how can you track and analyze the data of what you're seeing as well. So another webinar there. It's all there just to support you, obviously. So to recap, campaign-led fundraising is all about converting your existing supporters into bequesters, and it's an awesome strategy for a couple of reasons. One, it can be completely free or very low cost. A free online will obviously brings genuine value, so it's a way for you to give back to your supporters as well, and you can lead with that message. And then obviously from there, it can also deepen and strengthen the relationship you would have with your existing donors as well. When someone adds a charity to their will, as you know, they are essentially treating you like family. And the research has shown that when people do this and include you in their will, their everyday giving increases. So not only does a charity receive a bequest, but that person becomes much closer to your organization as well. And finally, existing supporters have a very high likelihood of gifting. We know that 43% of wills written by existing charity supporters include a gift to a charity, whereas the total average is actually closer to 17%. So significantly lower, whereas your existing supporters much more likely to include at least one gift in their will. There are a couple of drawbacks, so let's not shy away from them. Let's talk to them. Um, some campaigns, they do require time and effort. So if you have to write the emails, obviously, you have to segment your audience, you've got to get sign off potentially from an approval from different departments. There can be a fair bit involved. Depending on the type of outreach that you want to do, it might require obviously you to find suitable space in your communications calendar as well. If your organization has recently done a big campaign with a multi-part email to supporters, you might actually find it tricky to get to buy in for a similar type of outreach depending on your comms calendar. And because you're only reaching out to your supporters that you already know, you're limited by the size of your supporter base that you're contacting there. Although we know that they're likely to pledge a gift, as we mentioned, when writing a will, not all of your supporters are going to want to write a will as well. So reach out to as many people as possible in order to have the greatest chance of success and conversion as well. But don't forget, there's also another way that you can leverage Include a Charity Week, which addresses some of these drawbacks, and that's through passive fundraising. So passive fundraising, it focuses on acquiring brand new supporters to your organization via the high intent will writers who are using the Gathered Here platform. So high intent will writers are what we call the people who are coming to Gathered Here without any sort of prompt from a charity partner. They want to write a will. We know they want to write a will, and they've set about writing one. So they're already past, I guess, that first hurdle that you face, obviously, with your supporters. How do we encourage, obviously, random people to support your cause in particular? It involves what we call advertising space on our Wills platform so that people can see your organization at the moment that they're making those legacy decisions. So the key high visibility advertising areas are what we call group listings, featured listings, and cause listings. And this is what they look like in the platform. So looking at the box on the left there, you can see that charities can be listed in a group alongside other similar causes. This allows will writers to pledge a gift to that cause area, a cause area that they likely care about, obviously, rather than worrying about having to pick a specific charity or any single charity. We've found this option actually has really a strong popularity, and it's been a fantastic way of securing more gifts for organizations that might not necessarily have widespread brand recognition yet, but are obviously doing amazing work as well. In the middle is what we call our featured listings. And at the end, you can see an example of cause listings as well, where charities are separated by the cause area and will writers can toggle between those different tabs. So now you can do this type of fundraising at any time of the year, right? It's particularly beneficial during Include a Charity Week because we've already established that we're getting a lot more traffic to the platform. So that means a lot more eyes on your organization through these listings. And we know that opt-in rates are also higher in September as well. So when brand new supporters share their information, they're more likely to be able to add them to your stewardship journeys because we see that opt-in rate really high through the month of September. Overall, the listings here are a great way to earn more gifts in wills rapidly, but it comes with a bunch of additional benefits. Again, there's two sides to every coin. On the positive side, that far outweigh the cons here. On the positive side, this type of fundraising is completely hands-off. You decide how much you want to invest, and that determines your visibility on the platform. You can also acquire brand new supporters for your organization this way, it can be used as obviously a supporter acquisition tool, as well as bequest fundraising. And then Because of the large numbers of people using the Wheels platform, you can generate bequests rapidly. So usually much significantly faster than when reaching out to your existing supporters through other campaign-led functions. In instances where your organization may already have run a widespread campaign to your supporters, this type of fundraising actually removes them from the equation. So there's no risk of donor fatigue, of being contacted again or anything like that. And finally, it's an extremely high return of investment, but that does mean that there is some financial component involved, which can be considered a drawback, but it's essentially the only drawback of this passive fundraising framework. So obviously the big question might be, well, how much does it cost? What is the financial investment? And the way our advertising works on Gathered here is you purchase a credit for $179. That credit secures you a spot in those high visibility areas on the platform that we just went through, and you stay there until you receive a gift. So only then, once you've received a gift or redeemed all of your credits, that's when those credits are redeemed and you're moved back to those lower visibility areas, but still on the platform and discoverable to our will writers. So again, you purchase 5 credits, you'll stay on those high promoted advertising areas until all 5 credits are redeemed. Same for 10 or whatever volume you might have. What this means is that this system is for everyone can access the high visibility areas for a price that is manageable for them. If you're a small organization, you might not have a larger budget, you might not want to be able to stay on there for months, but you can stay on there again until your your credit is redeemed and you've received a confirmed bequester and gift in the system. We're trying to do this as obviously as equitable as possible as well. And a reminder is that the average gift on Gathered here is around $60,000 as well. So phenomenal return of investment for the upfront credit costs. Now we're up to speed on passive fundraising options. Let's have a look at how you might design and include a Charity Week campaign. Okay, so here is a grid of the different outreach methods that we've seen our partners use when promoting online wills. It's split by those that are free at the top or in-house and those that might incur some cost in yellow down the bottom. Let us know in the chat if something's missing. I think it's pretty comprehensive what we've covered here. But if you've tried something different, we're all ears on learning on that as well. So feel free to pass on that feedback. The reason why we've split this into free and paid is because we know that budget is one of, if not the most important element of fundraising when planning a campaign. There's no point pretending it isn't, right? So by visualizing it this way, we can look at the different combinations or a range of different budgets and resource capabilities as well. So let's look at an easy one, zero budget and minimal effort campaign. An example of that would be a regular newsletter talking about Include a Charity Week and encouraging people to participate in a single dedicated email to your supporters as well. So this is typically within reach for everyone. It doesn't cost anything. It won't take more than a day or so to write up and organize. It's something that's simple and it can easily generate gifts and has many times. And of course, we're only in June, so we've got months to lock this in. So if this is something that you wanted to dedicate a little bit more time to, we could evolve it into something like this, which is still a zero budget but moderate effort Include a Charity Week campaign. So this time you've now added a blog post, an article to your regular newsletter. You're sending multiple emails to your dedicated to promoting online wills. A couple of social media posts, and you're also asking staff to put a call to action in their email signatures as well, which has an impact. So again, all of this completely free, reasonable amount of time to get this done before September, and it's a pretty comprehensive campaign as well. But if you're really wanting to go a little bit more full-fledged, what you can do is something like this. Still zero budget, but perhaps more of a high effort campaign. The reason this one is more high effort is that there are more tasks, and then these tasks rely on other teams or external organizations. For example, you might have a corporate partner, liaising with them if they can contact their staff about Include a Charity Week, working with your marketing or your product team on adding a pop-up on your website, like we saw with Fred Hollows. You could lean into PR to secure more earned media. These are all possible, and we've seen examples of these working very well for our charity partners, but they do take a little bit more time and a fair bit more effort than the other activities that we mentioned on here. Let's switch it up and let's look at a campaign structure that might involve a bit of budget. So again, what we're looking at here is a flexible budget, but zero effort, include a charity campaign. Like we mentioned, you can essentially do nothing apart from top up your credits on Gathered here and just naturally capitalize on the increased traffic to our website and Will Riders simply by advertising and securing your space there. So you don't have to worry about creating any assets, written or visual, or getting them approved by people in the organization. You can just freely list there and hopefully get some gifts. Literally takes minutes. A lot of our time poor partners opt for this strategy, but there is always a recommended campaign-led activities during Include a Charity as well. So what we're looking at here is a flexible budget, moderate effort campaign. So you have a few of those key campaign-led activities at the top. So a newsletter article, social media posts, and an email series to your supporters. That's all done through your campaign-led functions. And then you've got the paid advertising through the Gathered Here network as well. So these activities are a really big part of spreading that message of Include a Charity Week, the importance of obviously will writing and the power of legacy giving as well. But it's also a way for you to give back to your supporters whilst attracting new ones through the Gathered Here platform. So it's a really good complementary campaign that doesn't take up too much time and effort on your end and can be tailored towards whatever budgets you might have in mind. An example of a high budget, moderate effort campaign. I'll be transparent. We have only seen one or two charities try tele fundraising for gifts in wills. So it's not something we widely recommend just because, yeah, we're conscious of you making financially sensible and effective recommendations. But of course, you can give it a shot if you have spare budget lying around. If you do, try the tele fundraising, please let us know how it goes as well. We're always learning from that feedback. And finally, we have a high budget, high effort campaign. This might look overwhelming and it really would be an extremely comprehensive campaign, but it's absolutely doable with the time that we have on our hands. And we would see organizations going full steam for Include a Charity where they can. So doable, but certainly a high effort campaign structure. So that's a wide range of different combinations that you can obviously use. What we'll touch on next is actually the outreach methods that have worked for real charities in the past. So looking here, we can see an example of an animal charity that ran an IAC campaign last year. They generated an estimated $1.2 million in revenue throughout September. 208,000 of that was from advertising on Gathered Here, and 463,000 was from multiple emails sent to supporters. You can also see that they did try paid social media and social ads, but they didn't result in any gifts. And at the bottom, you can see in the other category, $671,000, which is just, it means that revenue was untracked by the charity, but it was generated during Include a Charity Week or the month of September. When you join Gathered Here as a premium partner, you can create as many tracking links as you like. So you can get as specific as you'd like in terms of whether a web page with a picture of a koala generates more gifts than a web page with a picture of wombats. It's really up to you with our custom tracking links. Many of our partners are pushed for time and they choose to track major initiatives, which is what's happened here. Others get into the minutiae, obviously. let's take a look at advertising. So the total cost of advertising here was around $2,000, and that resulted in 12 gifts with a value of the $208,000 and an average gift size of $17,000. So if all of those gifts were to come through, that result would be greater than 10,000% return of investment, which is obviously beyond any other types of traditional or fundraising imaginable. But even if we just factor in that, perhaps not all of those gifts will eventuate, with an average gift size of $17,000, even if just one single gift came through, the ROI would still be looking at 750%. Let's have a look at what the email series eventuated in. So here we could see that the cost to run that email campaign was $0. They contacted their own supporters. That generated 7 gifts worth an estimated $463,000 and an average gift size of $66,000. So we can't calculate ROI here because there was no initial investment, but obviously it's a really fantastic result for this particular organization. Jumping to another one here. This one is a mental health based charity, and they chose not to reach out to their supporter base with any dedicated emails. There are a few reasons why charities choose not to do this, or they might have done a lot of outreach recently and want to avoid donor fatigue. They might have a big push for another initiative that's coming up as well, or they might work in a highly sensitive area and not have the time to get that messaging absolutely right for an Include a Charity Week campaign. In this case, this partner lent on the Gathered Here advertising and had a fantastic result of $1.4 million generated through credits that they'd purchased. They also tried out digital and social advertising, which generated $20,000. They had a staff Teams post, which generated $1,200, and some traditional media advertising as well, which generated $9,000. And again, the untracked pool there is $600,000. That could be from anything such as links or QR codes and printouts, a whole bunch of things that are simply just not tracked. Digging into specifically the advertising metric, the charity spent around $7,500 on credits, and they generated 45 gifts worth an estimated $1.4 million. So an average gift size of $33,500. If, again, all of those gifts were to be realized, that would result in over 18,000% ROI. But again, we understand that the likelihood of that isn't necessarily guaranteed. Factoring in that attrition, even if just one gift came through, you'd still be looking at an ROI of 347%. And one final one that I just want to touch on before we open up for Q&A, if anyone has any questions, is this one is a little bit different because it's not actually Include a Charity related, but I wanted to talk about the potential behind corporate partnerships. And for our Kiwi attendees who have stuck with us, this case study is of a New Zealand-based organisation as well. This organisation reached out to its corporate partner who agreed to email their staff with an offer of a free online will. So again, this obviously cost the charity absolutely nothing. It resulted in 5 gifts for a total of $125,000 in future bequest value. So an average gift size of $25,000 per gift. So yeah, just a bit of motivation around there for anyone who might be wanting to try the corporate partnership style of outreach as well. All right, that brings us to the end of the webinar, but we will have some time for some questions. So I will have a quick look and we'll have a look what might come through the chat as well. If anyone has any questions, feel free to use the Q&A thing that's available to you. Otherwise, we'll check the chat as well. I think a couple have been answered through this webinar.
I think most of them have been ably responded to by
Has been. Yeah.
behind the scenes. Nicola?
All good. Thank you for answering the questions and those who answered asked along the way. So I think we'll wrap up the webinar then. This is being recorded. It's going to be shared most likely early next week with attendees and others who have registered but may not have attended as well. But thank you, obviously, everyone for joining. Again, there will be a subsequent webinar in about a month's time. Really recommend you join that. We're going to really dive into the nitty-gritty to help you launch and enable you with some really strong campaign content from there. And Helen, thank you so much for being a part of today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.